At 71, Ron Howard finally speaks up about Harrison Ford. Ron Howard was born Ronald William Howard on March 1, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma. His mom and dad, Rance Howard and Gene Spiegel Howard, were both actors, which meant that being creative, performing, and telling stories were a normal part of his child. His dad not only worked all the time as a character actor but also helped guide Ron through his first steps in Hollywood. His mom also acted and inspired him with how much she loved acting. Growing up like this, Ron Howard was around stage sets, practice sessions, and movie studios long before most kids ever knew what show business was. Howard first won the public's heart as a child actor, becoming famous at an incredibly young age. His big break came in 1960 when at just 6 years old, he was chosen to play Opie Taylor, the wide-eyed, sweet son of Sheriff Andy Taylor on the classic TV comedy show The Andy Griffith Show. People fell in love with Opie's keen personality, his loving relationship with his dad, and Howard's natural charm, which showed up in every scene. For 8 seasons, Howard grew up in front of America's eyes, playing the perfect small-town boy of the 1960s. Even at that age, he showed a hard-working attitude and professionalism that impressed the people he worked with and showed the greatness to come. When the Andy Griffith Show ended, Howard didn't disappear like many child stars. Instead, he managed to reinvent himself as a teenager, getting another important role that would make him an American cultural icon. In 1974, he joined the cast of Happy Days, playing Richie Cunningham, the clean-cut, nice best friend of the Fonz. This role once again showed Howard's ability to play the everyday guy with warmth, humor, and likability. For nearly 10 years, Happy Days was on television screens everywhere, and Howard's portrayal of Richie became a symbol of American youth during the 1950s and early 1960s. Then, he had achieved the rare accomplishment of starring in 2 of the most important and long-lasting television shows in history. While many actors would have been happy to stay in front of the camera, Howard's dreams reached far beyond acting. During his time on Happy Days, he began trying out directing, at first with short films and then with full-length movies. By the late 1970s, he switched almost completely into directing, determined to tell stories in his own way. His early directing work, including Grand Theft Auto 1977, showed a rough but clear talent. Soon, however, he would grow into one of Hollywood's most successful directors. His collection of work has since grown to include praised and award-winning films such as Splash 1984, Cocoon 1985, Apollo 13 1995, A Beautiful Mind 2001, and Cinderella Man 2005. Each of these films shows his amazing ability to do different things as he easily moved between comedy, drama, science fiction, historical epics, and touching human stories. Howard's biggest moment as a filmmaker came with A Beautiful Mind, a powerful drama about mathematician John Nash, which won him the Academy Award for Best Director as well as Best Picture in 2002. This achievement proved him not only as a successful child star turned actor but a son of the most respected storytellers of his generation. His ability to direct films that touched both critics and audiences has made him a special person in Hollywood, someone who combines making money with artistic respect. Beyond directing, Howard started Imagine Entertainment with producer Brian Grazer, a partnership that has created some of the most well-known films and television programs of the last 40 years. Together, they produced projects such as Arrested Development 24, Friday Night Lights, The Da Vinci Code, Frost, Nixon, and Solo, a Star Wars story. Imagine Entertainment has become a powerhouse, reflecting Howard's influence not only as an artist but also as a visionary shaping future of Hollywood. In November 2017, Ron Howard, one of Hollywood's most respected and skilled filmmakers, made headlines when he revealed that he would be teaching his very first directing class. For fans, aspiring filmmakers, and students of cinema alike, this was an amazing announcement. After decades of shaping the movie industry with his storytelling genius, Howard was finally peeling back the curtain to share his creative process. It was more than just a class. It was an invitation into the mind of a man whose career had gone from child star to Academy Award-winning director, offering lessons that few others could give. Just 3 years later, in November 2020, Howard once again found himself in the spotlight with the release of Hillbilly Elegy on Netflix, based on J.D. Vance's best-selling memoir and brought to the screen by screenwriter Vanessa Taylor. The film was a deeply personal family drama that explored poverty, strength, and the American dream in the Rust Belt, with a powerhouse cast led by Academy Award nominees Glenn Close and Amy Adams. The project carried huge expectations, although the film ended up receiving widespread negative reviews from critics. It still sparked passionate conversations about class, opportunity, and the cultural divides within America. For Howard, the movie showed his willingness to take risks, to tell stories that might divide opinion, but still push audiences to think. In March 2021, Howard started yet another ambitious project, one that will take him deep into the heart of a real-life survival story. He began filming 13 Lives, a gripping drama inspired by the 2018 Tam Luang Cave rescue in Thailand, a global event that had captured the world's attention. The challenge was huge. How could a film capture the tension, courage, and humanity of one of the most miraculous rescues in modern history? Howard, known for his steady hand in balancing drama with authenticity, embraced the Calendula holiday when 13 Lives premiered in select theaters on July 29, 2022 through United Artists Releasing, and short-lived began streaming on Prime Video on August 5. Audiences and critics alike praised the film. It was called one of Howard's strongest works in years, celebrated for its suspenseful storytelling and emotional depth, reminding audiences of his remarkable ability to transform true events into movie triumphs. Ron Howard's personal life has been a story of remarkable stability, commitment, and lasting love, something quite rare in Hollywood, where long-lasting marriages are often the exception rather than the rule. In 1975, at the young age of 21, Howard married his high school sweetheart Cheryl, who later became known as Cheryl Howard after their marriage. Cheryl, an accomplished writer and author in her own right, has been a quiet but powerful presence in Howard's life and career, offering support, encouragement, and balance throughout his journey from child actor to world-famous director and producer. Their union has often been admired in the entertainment world as a model of devotion, trust, and shared values, with both Ron and Carol frequently talking about how they have managed to keep their bond strong despite the pressures of fame, long working hours, and the demands of Hollywood spotlight. Their marriage, now spanning decades, has grown into one of the most lasting partnerships in show business history, celebrated for its deep-rooted affection and unshakable foundation. Together, Ron and Cheryl Howard have built a close-knit family, raising 4 children who have each inherited their parents' creativity and artistic spirit in different ways. Their eldest daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, has risen to fame as one of Hollywood's most versatile and respected actresses, with roles in blockbuster films such as Jurassic World, The Help, and Rocket Man. Beyond acting, Bryce has followed in her father's footsteps as a director, establishing her own reputation for insightful storytelling and filmmaking, particularly in her acclaimed work on episodes of The Mandalorian. Another daughter, Paige Howard, has also pursued a career in acting, appearing in both film and television and earning recognition for her natural screen presence and talent. The couple's other 2 children, Jocelyn and Reed Howard, have chosen different paths that reflect their individuality, Jocelyn leading a life mostly outside the limelight, while Reed, their only son, pursued interests that included golf and other ventures, showing that the Howard family values personal choice and independence just as much as creative ambition. Ron Howard, the legendary filmmaker and former child star who has spent more than 6 decades working in Hollywood, has always been known for his diplomacy, kindness, and careful words. Through his long career, Howard has rarely gotten into public fights or controversies, preferring instead to let his work speak for itself. Yet at the age of 71, Howard surprised many fans and industry insiders by finally breaking his silence about a subject he had carefully avoided for years. His personal thoughts on Harrison Ford, one of the most iconic actors of our generation. In a candid and heartfelt conversation, Howard spoke more openly than ever before, offering both admiration and rare glimpses of honesty that showed just how deeply intertwined their paths in Hollywood have been. Howard began by acknowledging Ford's larger-than-life presence in the entertainment industry. Harrison Ford is one of those rare actors who doesn't just play characters, Howard explained. He becomes them in a way that makes you believe he's actually lived their lives. Whether it's Han Solo, Indiana Jones, or even roles people forget about, there's always a rugged authenticity to what he brings. He makes you feel like you're not watching a performance. You're watching a man who's really been through those adventures. Howard, who has directed countless actors over the years, admitted that Ford's ability to blur the line between actor and character has always fascinated him. The director also reflected on the first time he truly noticed Ford's magnetism on screen. "I remember seeing him in Star Wars back in 1977. And even though the whole film was this incredible spectacle, Harrison stood out. He had this confidence, this roguish charm, and yet he didn't have to work too hard at it. It was effortless. You couldn't take your eyes off him. You remember thinking, that guy is going to be a star for a long time." Howard recalled how in the years that followed, Ford's star power only grew stronger, cementing his place as a Hollywood legend. But Howard's comments were not limited to admiration. He also spoke about Ford's personality off camera, which has often been described by others as gruff, private, and at times difficult. "Harrison isn't the kind of guy who's going to sugarcoat anything," Howard admitted with a small laugh. "He tells you exactly what he thinks, and sometimes that can be intimidating. But I've always respected that about him. He's real. He's not pretending for cameras when he's off set. What you see is what you get." Howard contrasted this with the often overly polished and image-conscious world of Hollywood, suggesting that Ford's authenticity was part of why so many people, both colleagues and audiences, have remained loyal to him for decades. Howard also penned up about moments when their professional paths nearly crossed. There were a couple of projects where Harrison's name came up as a potentiality, and even though the stars never quite aligned for us to work together in that capacity, I always thought it would have been an incredible experience. He's the kind of actor who elevates every oni around him. For Howard, who has worked with some of the greatest talents in the industry, the idea of directing Ford remains one of those tantalizing what-ifs in his career. In a more personal reflection, Howard revealed his admiration for Ford's refusal to be defined by Hollywood fame. "He's never really played the Hollywood game," Howard said. "He's a guy who'd rather be flying his plane, working on carpentry, or just living his life outside of the spotlight. I think that's admirable because it's so easy in this business to get caught up in the fame and the pressure." Harrison found his own balance, "And I've always looked up to that." Howard noted that, like himself, Ford seemed to value family and privacy above all, something both men had in common despite their very different careers. Perhaps the most touching part of Ford's comments came when he addressed Ford's legacy. "There will never be another Harrison Ford," Howard stated with conviction. "He represents an era of filmmaking and storytelling that's larger than life. He's one of the last true movie stars, the kind of actor who can carry a film just by walking into a room. And that's not something you can teach or manufacture. It's just who he is." For many fans, Howard's decision to finally speak at length about Ford at age 71 felt like a full-circle moment. After decades of keeping his opinions private, the filmmaker gave the world a glimpse of the respect and admiration he holds for one of Hollywood's most enduring legends. It was not a sensational tell-all or a dramatic confession, but instead a thoughtful, measured, and deeply genuine attribute, very much in keeping with Howard's character. In the end, his words were less about revealing secrets and more about celebrating a fellow artist whose contributions to cinema will continue to inspire generations.